Good morning. I am 4 minutes earlier today. So if you're watching and recording, you're welcome to fast forward or stay through our hellos as always. Good morning, John. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Joey. Good morning, Yanni. Good morning, Gina. Good morning, Jean. Good morning, Anne. All right, it is time for us to start. Yesterday, we looked at the two allies of sympathetic joy, which are rapture and gratitude. And I mentioned yesterday that there is a third powerful ally, which is compassion. So let's dive into it today. Just as sympathetic joy reminds us of joy when we are lost in sorrow, compassion reminds us of pain when we're lost in denial. Compassion sort of balances sympathetic joy and keeps it from degenerating into sentimentality or ignorant, false optimism. Sympathetic joy, on the other hand, keeps compassion from degenerating into brooding over all the enormous breadth, depth, and duration of suffering in the world. It gives solace to the compassionate heart so that we don't feel flooded or overwhelmed by pain. So you can see how compassion and sympathetic joy go hand in hand and complement each other. Together, they keep us from building barriers behind which we confine ourselves to experience only a narrow segment of life. And because sympathetic joy energizes us, it also helps our compassion to be active. We can take the joy and use it to help translate our inner experience of compassion into an outward action, act of service in the world. It may seem strange that we can feel joy in the face of pain and suffering, but that's what actually happens when we approach life skillfully. Compassion brings us closer to each other. The power of harmony, of union that grows in the heart from being close to somebody in pain infuses compassion with openness, tenderness, concentration, bliss. And so we can feel happiness, whether we respond to the joy of beings or to their suffering. As sympathetic joy grows, we see that the happiness of others is our own happiness, that they are not different. So mudita, sympathetic joy, strengthens metta, loving kindness. And sympathetic joy allows us to open further and further with loving kindness, so that more and more we genuinely start wanting other people to be happy. It's our sincere desire. The happiness of another person, even if that person is our enemy, is not going to take away from us in any way, shape, or form. Our happiness and that of others is simply inseparable. So these three boundless mind states, or the way they're called in Sanskrit, Brahma Viharas, metta, loving kindness, mudita, sympathetic joy, and karuna, compassion, they all add to one another. This is a benevolent alliance that brightens our mind. And because of this brightness, these qualities add richness and joy to our perceptions. We can start to increasingly open to the happiness that exists, and we can see the suffering that exists as well, and at the same time maintain an open heart in the face of it, not get easily overwhelmed and run away trying to protect ourselves. So let's explore this together today with a practice of loving kindness for caregivers. I know that a lot of you are actually formal caregivers to your parents, or children, grandchildren, friends. For some of you, being a caregiver was or still is a profession, an occupation. And of course, in some respect, we all take the role of a caregiver to the people around us at one point or another. So I think this dedicated practice may be really useful to cultivate this active compassion towards others and at the same time towards ourselves as we play all sorts of caregiving roles in our life. Sharon Salzberg writes, "When I led a retreat for caregivers at the Inside Meditation Society, there were mothers and fathers, sons, daughters, and spouses, nurses and hospice workers, therapists, chaplains, medics, and many more. What was striking to me, besides their evident fatigue, was how many of them regarded their service, however difficult or frustrating, as a privilege. It was a beautiful testament to their hearts. And I also realized that for anyone in a continuing caregiving role, with all the best will and good-heartedness in the world, burnout hovers very close. Skillful caregiving depends on balance, the balance between love and compassion for oneself and love and compassion for another. The balance between opening one's heart fully and accepting the limits of what one can change. Moving our hearts towards balance allows us to care and yet still cope because of that caring. In this practice, the phrases we will use reflect this balance that we seek. So they will be different for each one of you. Choose one or two phrases that are personally meaningful to you. And of course, I'll offer some options. Take a comfortable position. And as always, take a few moments to acknowledge all the circumstances of your practice, internal and external, with easy, uncontrolled breath, dissolving the boundary between your internal and external experiences, reminding yourself that you are bigger and more spacious than any of the experiences, that you are one with everything else. Scan your body. Notice what's happening physically, what's happening emotionally, what kind of thoughts you are having right now. And as you scan your body, ground with each exhale, connecting more and more into the earth, into the support that the earth provides. If you'd like, you can bring to mind someone who you're currently acting as a caregiver for, but you don't have to. You can simply connect to the general caregiving attributes in yourself, and that's completely fine too. Totally your choice, depending on your circumstance right now. Bring your attention to your body or your breath, choosing your primary anchor for the practice. And start finding your phrase for this practice. I'll give you some options. I'll repeat them twice. You can repeat them with me. And based on that, you can find your phrase, or you can go with something totally different. May I find the inner resources to be able to give to others and receive myself. May I find the inner resources to be able to give to others and receive myself. May I remain peaceful and let go of expectations. May I remain peaceful and let go of expectations. May I offer love, knowing that I cannot control the course of life, suffering, or death. May I offer love, knowing I cannot control the course of life, suffering, or death. I care about your pain, yet I cannot control it. I care about your pain, yet I cannot control it. I wish you happiness and peace, and I know I cannot make your choices for you. I wish you happiness and peace, and I know I cannot make your choices for you. May I see my limits compassionately, just as I see the limitations of others. May I see my limits compassionately, just as I see the limitations of others. May I see you as I wish to be seen myself, as big as life itself, so much more than your need, so much bigger than your pain. May I see you as I wish to be seen myself, as big as life itself, so much more than your need, so much bigger than your pain. I'll be silent for the next couple of minutes to give you space to connect with your direct experience. So continue with one of these phrases or your own. Simply keep repeating your phrase over and over, and at the same time let part of your attention stay on your body and breath, so that you are aware of what's really happening in you as you move through this practice. As you go through your day today, I invite you to reflect on your role as a caregiver and find ways to offer this balanced, flowing care to yourself and your charges, drawing on this inner resource of loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and compassion, reminding yourself that you can care and take care of another, and yet you cannot make their choices for them. Thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful day. I will see you tomorrow.